Good morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions, and thank you again so much for our time together. Looking forward to Revival Nights at Main Campus starting tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. We'll see you then. But right now, let's go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 8. Paul said, now about food sacrificed to idols. We know that we all possess knowledge. Now, Paul's writing to the church of Corinth, and oh my goodness, these people never respected him. I mean, this was an extremely wealthy place. They never respected Paul. We know that we all possess knowledge. Knowledge puffs up, but love builds up. The man who thinks he knows something does not yet know as he ought to know. But the man who loves God is known by God. Now that's a pretty hard passage. I remember as a young man, I'd begun to get a revelation of principles of faith and confession and prosperity. And, I was all full of myself about that. And a wise old pastor sat down with me and said, young man, he said, there's a lot of people preaching these doctrines right now, and they're pulling people out of other churches because they're acting like they have God's revelation for the moment. He said, young man, you need to recognize that if you really want to grow a church, you're not going to grow a church by puffing people up with knowledge and making them proud and arrogant. You're going to build a church by teaching people to walk in love. And as I listened to that wise old man, I went back and put away the series of sermons I was working on and began to teach a series on love. Because, you know what? I didn't know a single thing about love. But when I looked at this passage that he shared with me, the man who loves God is known by God, I thought, you know what? I need to get a hold of the doctrines of love. Because if I'm a man who walks in love, if I'm a man who loves God, God knows me. If I'm a man who just has a bunch of knowledge, that doesn't mean anything. Now, I want to challenge you today. There's always some, how do I say it? There's always some new revelation. There's always some new flavor of the month in Christianity, and everybody gets very excited and everybody gets very puffed up, and they think that they know something that other people don't know. But after pastoring the church for 35 years and after serving God now for 40 years, I look around and I think a lot about that wise old man. And I think, you know what? There's always going to be a new revelation. There's always going to be a new flavor of the month, and everybody thinks that they're so right and everybody else doesn't know anything and they have the latest in with God. And I just come back to that old man and go, you know what? If we can just get the church members to love one another, that's pretty cool.